And it's a pleasure to welcome to our studio now, Alex Smith. Alex, thank you for being here with us.
Jeremy, thanks for having me.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm doing better. In a good place. Life is good.
It was, as we said, a devastating injury, and it's something you really haven't talked about over the course of the last 14 months. Can you describe to us what happened on that play and then what the injury was specifically?
Yeah, hard to say. I mean, I remember the play well. I remember dropping back, and it was one of those plays as a quarterback. Obviously, I felt the pressure and felt it coming from multiple places, and really at that point was just trying to secure the football. I'm not trying to make a play or anything, just trying to protect the football. I felt my leg go fuzzy and looked down, and obviously my legs, not aligned. And clearly I knew right away that I had broken bones and pretty serious. At that point, though, in my head, knew it was a serious injury, knew the season was over, but, I felt like I'm obviously going to go have surgery and get this fixed, and doctors will fix me up. And that was it. That's kind of, that was the extent of my thought at the time. Obviously a little bit outer body to look down at your leg and to have it to not be straight, that was, I really, other than that, though, there was no great fear. I mean, that's a broken bone. You hear about broken bones all the time in sports, in life.
But it turned out to be much more complicated than that.
Yeah, I mean, I greatly underestimated the complexity of, first of all, a broken tibia and fibula, and how hard they are to heal. I had some unforeseen things happen. I had a pretty serious infection. That had a lot of complications with it, a bunch of surgeries that ended up leading to, basically a limb salvage surgery for my leg, to save my leg. Faced with the decision to amputate or limb salvage, and elected, obviously, to try to save my leg, and thankful for the doctors that did so.
At what point did you have to make that decision about whether or not to amputate?
It was actually, I was supposed to get discharged. The initial surgery went great. Bone was lined up. I had several plates put in my leg, and everything looked great. I was getting ready to go home. It was right before Thanksgiving, and that's when the initial infection was spotted. This is a few days after the surgery, and
sepsis.
I went septic. Yeah, it was a infection that had gotten into my blood, and at that point, I don't remember much. For a few weeks. I had quite a few surgeries in a row, debridements, trying to get the infection under control. And then next thing I remember is waking up several weeks later faced with the decision of amputation or limb salvage at that point.
I'm not being melodramatic here when I say at one point it wasn't just your leg that was in jeopardy of being removed. Your life was hanging in the balance.
Yeah. And that wasn't really present for any of that. You wake up and you hear that. You hear your wife and family and doctors tell you how close you were. Having gone septic, I had no idea what that even meant. I didn't know the mortality rate. I didn't know how many people sepsis kills every year, even in hospital care. It's that dangerous. And very much lucky to be alive. Very lucky to still have my leg. Going back to your original question, good to be here,
What has the process been like trying to get back to where you were before the events of November 18th, 2018?
Tough to try to summarize. In some ways, when you're there in the hospital and, like you said, finally with the infection under control and then a bunch of complication and surgeries that to try to allow me to somewhat get back to any kind of normalcy and save my leg. So, but there was no one from that, once that had taken place, there was no one really to look to from a sports perspective. This was unprecedented. There was no one to ever kind of see, well, how did they do it? How did this happen? What was the road they went down? What are things I can learn from them? This was really unique in that sense. The closest thing for me was the military. were some.
This is like a combat injury.
At that point, it was very similar to some combat injuries that, from whether it be blast wounds or gunshots, to have the fracture.
And you actually got special dispensation from the Department of Defense to rehab at a military facility.
Yeah, that was while I was in the hospital last year. I got that ball got rolling with that, and to get the Secretary of Defense designation because my injury was so warlike, that I did get this, that not only would I get access to the military care and their expertise in this area, they'd get to study me as well, and learn from me. So very cool. It's something that's still going on today that I'm thankful for.
And we've been, as I said, ESPN, E60 has been following your progress almost since the time it took place.
Yeah.
Stefania Bell, our injury reporter, analyst, has been working with you on this story. And it's remarkable. I mean, we're spending some time with you now today, walking around this facility.
Yeah.
You would never know anything had happened. Is this a medical miracle of sorts?
I mean, I'd be lying if I told you a year ago I had serious doubts, obviously, even in my ability to walk normal, to ever play with my kids, to ever go on a hike, go on a walk with my wife, hiking, skiing, forget any of those kind of recreational activities, golfing. And so today to still be considering the chance to play quarterback, obviously very, very lucky. So yeah, and in a good place, to feel good about a lot of those things that are more important, and to know that I'll be okay with some of that stuff, and to kind of turn my focus to some crazier challenges is fun.
What is the likelihood you think? I know you've kept a positive mindset, but what do you think is the likelihood you're going to be back on the field?
It'd be hard for me to put into, I'm as optimistic as ever that I can do this, that I still have it in me, that there's enough there, that I can go out there and play. That it's not guaranteed, and that's the scary part, is to put yourself out there and to go try to take this on, and knowing that failure is a possibility, but relishing the opportunity, relishing that fight, and it's there are weeks where I feel like I without a doubt I know I can, and then certainly there are times when I get frustrated and you're feeling off, or things aren't going that as well as usual, and that doubt creeps in. But still progressing, still moving forward, and hopefully nearing a point where I'll find out if I really can or not.
It's hard to put a number, I know, on these things, but you're not going to be back out there if you're not 100%.
Yep. Yes.
What are you now?
Yeah, still in the healing process, still going on, which is crazy to say this many months after. And that is priority. I'm not trying to do anything too crazy or foolish, and certainly when I do get the go-ahead, that I am 100% healed up, that I can take that next step and really pursue that. And at the same time, still trying to prepare myself for that day. Doing everything I can, obviously, to heal up fully and be ready that when that happens, that I've done everything to give myself the best chance.
Since your injury took place, your team, the Washington Redskins, has drafted a quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. Now there's a new head coach, Ron Rivera. Where do you think you stand in the organization?
No idea. Absolutely no idea. No, and I mean that in a great way. I just, you play long enough and you go through certain things, and certainly something like this, to put into perspective, that dwelling on or any of those things that are outside of my control really do me no good. I'm giving 100% into obviously healing up and getting back, and my family, and the rest of that stuff will take care of itself when I get there. But obviously, the realities of the profession, that we did draft Dwayne for the future.
You've been in that situation.
This isn't my first time in that situation. So I realize that his path and my path we aren't pitted against each other. That's not the reality of this situation. I need to prove that I can come back and play quarterback in the NFL, and if I can do that, that would be great. And it'll get figured out.
without infringing on any private communications or conversations. Have you talked to Ron Rivera?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm still there. I'm doing my physical therapy every day, working out, getting stronger, and I've met with Coach multiple times, and so it's hard to say. Just like I'm telling you, there are no guarantees. So for me, it's about going out and proving it, and being able to show that. So yeah, and that's my intention.
We have a Super Bowl taking place, you might have heard, tomorrow in Miami, pitting your two former teams against each other. Obviously, there's not a lot left in San Francisco from your time there, which ended 7 years ago. But you know this Chiefs team well. You know Pat Mahomes well. You know Andy Reid well. You heard what Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes had to say about you this week. What was it like hearing that?
Yeah, flattering. Flattering. Humbled to hear that, and obviously was very gracious of both of them to say those things. But obviously, I understand. Coach Reid is one of the greatest coaches probably ever, and Pat, in his own right, long before he met me, was a pretty good quarterback. So I was lucky to be around both of them, to play 5 years for Coach Reid. It's something that not only changed my career but my life. And lucky to be teammates with Pat. My year with him was awesome. To get to spend time with, him, to come in that situation, to have him to be the teammate that he was. Those aren't easy situations, to have a top pick and come in and not play. And obviously he has expectations and wants to go out there, and he's watching his peers go play as rookies. But Pat and I, there was a mutual respect and bond there that I think is still there, obviously. So I'm happy. I mean, crazy to see the run that they've been on, and they're so much fun to watch, and obviously to reach the pinnacle here, and excited to see what tomorrow holds.
What do you think it holds?
I'm a fan of both teams. I think both teams are great. I'm not a great prognosticator of football games, believe it or not. Multiple years on both teams, great memories for both organizations. Still a lot of friends at both places, but I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a part of me that's not pulling for Big Red, for Coach Reid and Pat, and all those guys, Kels, all the Tyreek, the guys that I played with. It's a special place. They got a special thing going on, and hope they can finish it off.
Where is your mindset now about the big picture?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's that. It's I'm lucky to be here today for so many reasons. Lucky to still be chasing this. I'm so thankful for my family, everybody's health. It's something that you play 14 years and for the most part, really small bumps and bruises in the scheme of things. And you take it for granted for so long, and how quickly it can change on a pretty innocent play, I felt like, and all of a sudden, boom, life has changed forever for me. This is something I'll deal with for the rest of my life, the ramifications of it. But yes, with that, and working through it, and day by day, and getting up and trying to make the best of it, and the situation, and with that, so thankful for everybody that's had a hand in this.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.